Hey guys, we are here for round 7. We did it. I'm really proud of everyone here, including people who have been here before, people who this is their first time. We did it. 7 rounds out of 7. We've got Jacob and Alex for you guys. I have been looking forward to actually one of these teams all day because I'm hearing about it. So I am hoping for a fun match. Let's get right into it because we're on the last round of Swiss. Whew. All right, I finally got hydrated, so we're good here. On your left, you've got I'm guessing this is actually, sorry. So we've got Sweet Tea's team with Snorlax, that Hatterene, Torkoal, Dusclops, Violet Plume, and yes, that is not your eyes deceiving you. That is a Riolu, not a Lucario. And on your right, you've got Alex here with that Gardevoir. You've got Dracovish. You've got Whimsicott. Also, with a partner, Gengar. Okay, all right, Duraludon and Scrafty. So Pokemon that you don't usually ever expect to see. Gengar has been trying so hard to be like one of those top contenders. I mean, it did so fantastic with its Mega Evolution back for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, but it's been kind of really difficult to use. It doesn't have access to Levitate anymore. It's only Cursed Body, but does have really high special attack and speed. And on the other side, Riolu, I know that Lucario gets Justified. I think I was told that Riolu gets Prankster as its ability, so we're going to find out real soon if that's true or not, as Violet Plume is going to be also on this team. So Violet Plume and Torkoal, kind of the precursor to what was lovingly known as Lily Cole here. And the Hatterene is actually, this is the first Hatterene I've seen all day, surprisingly enough. And Gardevoir as well, actually not a Pokemon that I generally see anymore because Mega Gardevoir was the Pokemon of choice. I love this trainer card so much. But we are just going to get right into this. So the last round here, I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what these two bring to the table because they have some very cool Pokemon choices, as we have now Alex sending out that Dracovish and that Scrafty, as Hatterene and Riolu is going to be the lead of choice here for Jacob on the left side. Scrafty's Intimidate is going to go into both Hatterene and that Riolu. Going to be a little bit more important on that Riolu because Hatterene is a special attacker. You usually see it paired with Indeedee for that Trick Room setup and sort of like that kind of sweep with Hatterene. And Dracovish, you know it, you love it. It's got the Vicious Wren, got the Strong Jaw, got those choice items on it. And Scrafty is going to be able to go for Fake Out as well, but instead we have a Dynamax again on turn 1 here. Mostly going to be that Hatterene. The Hatterene is absolutely terrifying once it gets its attacks going. And there we are, the big Hat Lady out on your screen for you guys. It's going to have access to things like Max Mindstorm and Max Starfall. I think it might actually be the first Max Mindstorm we'll see all day. It's been a long 7 rounds. And we actually have Quick Guard stopping priority moves here, and from that Riolu, so Fake Out from Scrafty is not going to connect here at all, because Quick Guard, again, going to stop priority moves, as Vicious Wren, though, is going to activate, oh no, it's not going to activate a Focus Sash here, it's just going to get that Hatterene down to 1 HP, as Dracovish is going to be knocked out immediately thanks to that Max Starfall, and that super effective damage here is going to set up the Misty Terrain here as well for Jacob. But that was a turn for Jacob for sure, because he stopped that Fake Out. He got rid of Dracovish, which is going to be the higher attack here on Alex's side of the field. We might actually see something like the Duraludon come into play here, because it is going to be able to at least do a little bit more damage. I don't know how you're going to really try to stop Riolu here. The Fairy type on Gardevoir is going to hurt it, but I guess you're going to send it out, and Gardevoir is going to hit the field here. No Trace, so going to be a Synchronizer most likely. But Hatterene is at 1 HP here. Riolu had Quick Guard, and we're going to see what else it's going to be able to do, as Hatterene is going to try to take advantage of these Dynamax turns the best that it can. Already 1 Pokemon down here for Alex in the first turn too, and Scrafty is not going to like Max Starfall moves either from Hatterene here. It's going to get knocked out most likely from it. Gardevoir could go for potential Dynamax here as well on Alex's side. Might be able to at least get some sort of damage out. But instead, going to take a turn for Max Guard here on Hatterene's side, as really uses Copycat and goes for Trick Room actually instead here. And sets up Trick Room for Jacob right there. Okay, that was a wild turn, as Scrafty goes for Close Combat. Is going to hit into that Riolu. Picks up the knockout very easily here, but Trick Room is now set up for Jacob, and he's going to be free to bring in either that Torkoal in the back, the Snorlax possibly, whatever he really wants. Gardevoir goes for Dazzling Gleam, but Max Guard is going to protect Hatterene on this turn, and it's still holding on at 1 HP. is going to be down to its last turn for Dynamaxing, but Torkoal coming into the field here on a Trick Room turn and bringing in Drought. I mean, when you see Torkoal coming in during Trick Room, you're gonna see something like Eruption just from the get-go, and a full HP Eruption. Actually, this is the second time this has happened, but right after somebody has used Water Spout, I've gotten an Eruption. So now we've got here that Torkoal going to be able to use this, and I don't think this Gardevoir or Scrafty can do anything to stop it. It can go for Protect, but Torkoal is going to have free reign of the field. Duraludon and Whimsicott, if either one of those Pokemon are in the back, like, it's not going to be able to take Eruption at all from this Torkoal or even Lava Plume. Like, Jacob was able to set up that Trick Room immediately, and in the most interesting way possible, I think he could with his team. Alex is going to try to at least keep a Pokemon around and is going to be able to go for this Dynamax this turn, right as Jacob's Dynamax turn is going to be on its last legs. And Scrafty is going to be the Pokemon of choice here to go for that Dynamax. But I don't know if it's going to be enough to take in a full HP Eruption in Sun from Torkoal. And we're about to find out here as Gardevoir, actually both of them managed to hold on, but Max Starfall is going to clean up whatever Pokemon it's going to attack, and that is going to be that Scrafty. So it is going to go down on this turn, the same turn that Dynamax's. Gardevoir is hanging around for just a little bit longer, but it's not going to do much. I mean, Alex is going to be down to his last two Pokemon. That Gardevoir sure is going to be fine, but is going to be able to finally pick up that knockout on Hatterene, but that just allows Jacob to bring in another slow Pokemon that he's got in the back and able to use Trick Room to his advantage. And Alex is going to have to find some way to stop either this Trick Room from just like sweeping from him, or at least stall it out so he has some way of being able to come back from this. And Gengar is going to be a rough Pokemon to try to have that there, because you've now got a fast Pokemon on the field versus two slow Pokemon in Trick Room, and we do have the items revealed, so that's a Choice Scarf Gardevoir, which also doesn't help the fact that you're in Trick Room, and a Life Orb Gengar. So two items that you don't normally see on these Pokemon, and you're going to have Torkoal still able to go first here. It didn't take that much damage, so Eruption in the Sun is still going to do considerable damage, and then you've got Dusclops using Ally Switch, actually, so Torkoal is going to take little to no damage possibly here as it goes for the Eruption again, and is going to be able to hit both Pokemon here. Going to pick up the knockout now on Gardevoir, and actually picks up the knockout as well on Gengar, giving game one almost immediately to Jacob there. That was one of the fastest games I've seen today. That was kind of crazy. I think if you're Alex, your question now is, how do you stop that Riolu, and how do you stop that from happening again? Which I don't think you ever expected to happen, because Riolu is not exactly a Pokemon that you would expect to see there. That Quick Guard and that Copycat was really well done for him. He managed to set up Trick Room just immediately, and I mean, there was nothing you could do to stop it. Like, sure, Riolu goes down, but that just leaves it free to bring in one of its partners in the back. That Torkoal is able to come in, just sweep immediately. Eruption just doing massive amounts of damage thanks to that HP-based move. And it's very difficult to find something slower than a Torkoal unless you're using something like, I think Pyukumugu has the lower base speed, but I mean, if you look at the Pokemon that are on Alex's side, he had a Choice Scarf Gardevoir and a Life Orb Gengar, and both of those Pokemon are naturally fast. And what's really hard is bringing in something like Scrafty, which has, sure, Fake Out is nice, but when you have Quick Guard, that doesn't really do anything. And I think if you can't stop Trick Room from getting set up, and unless you have something like Taunt on Whimsicott, I don't think there's much you can do. I think if you're Alex and you don't have Taunt on your Whimsicott, you might actually be in trouble. So you do have to be really careful here, and this is going to be a little bit rough, I think, for Alex to try to navigate his way. He's got a pretty fast team, and we saw it get taken down pretty quickly from that Torkoal and from that Hatterene, and I don't know what you do to stop this. Like, Jacob just was able to be like, I'm going to click these buttons and we're just going to finish this game in 3 turns. I mean, Duraludon might be able to work here, right? If you Dynamax that first and you go for just heavy attacks and try to raise your defense and your attack and try to stop Torkoal from going. I mean, maybe you try to save the Dracovish for last so you can at least use water type moves to take out the Torkoal. I mean, what do you really do against that sort of Hatterene and Riolu lead, because there's nothing really stopping Jacob from being able to do that again. And so we're going to see exactly what Alex's strategy is here, because he's going to have to push us to a game 3 or risk getting steamrolled. But we actually going to get Vileplume and Torkoal as a lead from Jacob, and Gengar and Whimsicott. That is not a lead I thought I would ever see in Sword and Shield to start off with. Gengar and Whimsicott, generally known for things like when it was able to Mega Evolve, things like Disable and like just trapping things in, Perish Song and things like that. And it doesn't really have access to that this generation, but Vileplume being able to have the Chlorophyll ability doubles its speed in the sun here, and we are going to see the Whimsicott being here as a lead, and that is going to be Alex's Gengar going for that Dynamax as the first Pokemon here, and we might see some poison type max moves, maybe Max Phantasm again. Not really sure what Gengar really does here. But Whimsicott goes for Worry Seed, so it's going to change the ability of Vileplume from Chlorophyll into Insomnia instead. So not going to be able to put to sleep, but the more important part is you won't have that speed access anymore, as Max Ooze is going to easily... Oh no, sorry, that was my bad. I thought I was going to knock that out. No, it's holding on with 25 HP. Will raise the special attack of Gengar, and that's going to make that Pokemon even scarier. Gengar did lose some HP, but that is totally fine. It's after you from... Vileplume. It is going to go for that Eruption, and it is going to pick up the almost a knockout on Whimsicott. That Focus Sash though was really nice, but Worry Seed from Whimsicott is going to make sure that Vileplume won't be able to go first, at least next turn. And now Alex understands, hey, this Torkoal is going to be a little bit more of a threat than I expected it to be, so I'm going to try to go for it now. Vileplume managing to hold on, though, was very important here for Jacob, because at least he was able to get that Eruption into both of his Pokemon. Gengar and Whimsicott are looking at pretty low HP right now, so it'll be a little bit tough, but if you can at least try to do... actually, even if Torkoal were to take some considerable damage, the boost from the Sun and Eruption being HP-based, you might be able to do enough damage to do 49 HP worth of damage to Gengar. It's just really a matter of how lucky you are if you're Jacob and how much damage you're about to take here. Because Vileplume will be losing that speed boost from Chlorophyll, so Gengar is generally a naturally fast Pokemon, but instead we are going to see Jacob going for a Dynamax here. It might actually be that Torkoal and just go straight for the Max Flares for later, and you want that HP to be around for later on. Yep, that Torkoal is going to go for the Dynamax, so that option will turn into Max Flare, but that base power for it is going to be a lot, and it's going to be a hard Pokemon to take down now, and I think Jacob's understanding that very well. So we've got Moonblast from Whimsicott here going into that Vileplume. Going to pick up the knockout now very, very easily, as Gengar is going to be able to go next. And it is going to do a lot of damage to this Torkoal, but I don't think it's going to be enough to even like have to truly worry. Oh, that is a lie, because Torkoal just definitely got knocked out there. The Life Orb boost is going to be very beneficial there. And I think that was that Max Phantasm from earlier. Sorry, Max Ooze helped raise those defenses as well, but now Jacob is going to be the one on the other foot, where he's in a little bit of trouble, as Gengar and Whimsicott are able to kind of steamroll his team right now too. But Dusclops going to be hitting the field alongside Hatterene. We did lose the Dynamax now for Jacob, so he does have to be careful because there is no Trick Room up, and Hatterene and Dusclops aren't exactly fast Pokemon, and if you're Hatterene and you're staring down this Gengar, it's kind of 50-50, because sure, you can try to go attack it, but it's a fast Pokemon and you better protect yourself first before you get knocked out. It's going to be a little bit rough now, I think, for Jacob. The shoe is on the other foot in this case, as Dusclops, we did see it use Ally Switch, but Hatterene has to be careful about which one's going to take out first. Gengar is probably the bigger threat here, but whatever is in the back now for Alex is still going to be able to at least do a lot of damage for both of Jacob's, two Jacob's Pokemon. Again, these aren't really fast Pokemon, and so Dusclops and Hatterene are going to have their work cut out for them trying to bring this back around, and we might actually see it go to a Game 3, as Dusclops is going to use Ally Switch, which we saw it use Game 1 as the only move it's used so far, and now we've got this Whimsicott going for Moonblast, is going to go and attack into what was that Dusclops spot, is now that Hatterene spot, does some really good damage, gets it down to half HP. Max Phantasm, though, going to double down into that Hatterene spot, so going to pick up the knockout on there, and I'm going to guess that that's exactly what Alex meant to do, as Dusclops is going to be the lone Pokemon now on Jacob's side of the field. and we actually don't know Alex's last 2 Pokemon, and I don't know if we will at this point, as Gengar does reach the end of its Dynamax turns. And oh my gosh, that was alright. I mean, this Gengar and this Whimsicott were like, you know what? We were great in Sun and Moon, and we're gonna be great now in Sword and Shield. So don't count us out. As Moonblast from Whimsicott is gonna hit that Dusclops. Gengar going for the Shadow Ball is gonna be doing super effective damage here, and we know that it has Life Orb damage as well. Is gonna pick up the knockout now on Jacob's final Pokemon, bringing us to a game 3. That was also pretty intense. Gengar does faint from the Life Orb residual damage, but at this point, like, that was. These are 2 teams that you will never see normally being used against each other and being used in a fun way. I appreciate that Whimsicott Gengar lead a lot. I think it does a lot for Alex in that case. And I think if you are Jacob, you have to be very careful now, because having that Chlorophyll being rewritten by Worry Seed, that is kind of rough to see happen. And now you're in this spot where maybe do you go back to your first. Is there going to be a return to game 1 and what you did, or I mean, this is one of those things where I look at these teams and I have no idea what you're gonna do. I think for either of them, because can you do the quick guard thing again that you did with with Riolu? And I don't think so, because Whimsicott is also on there, and that's gonna be really tough to try to match there, because if you try to go for something like Copycat, I think it'll copy sort of like non-attacking moves, and in this case that was why Trick Room got picked up from Hatterene. But if you go for Violet Plume Eruption again, I mean, with Torkoal, like, you have to worry about Worry Seed in this case, especially with Whimsicott and Gengar being a phenomenal lead for Alex. Like, I generally don't see him changing his mind about leading with those 2 Pokemon. When you have the ability to go for something like Worry Seed and rewrite the ability of other Pokemon for something like Insomnia, and there are very few Pokemon that it won't work on, why would you stop that? Especially when you can at least try to rewrite specific abilities that you know are beneficial to your opponent's team. And I think this is one of those cases where Jacob is running into a team where he looks at it and is like, wow, this might actually be like the one time that like Worry Seed is going to actually hurt every single one of these Pokemon, right? You've got I'm assuming Prankster on Riolu, and then Violet Plume is going to have like that Chlorophyll being rewritten. Riolu is going to be able to do as much against it. It's a tough situation, especially if you're Jacob, because you've been waiting on this like team to kind of carry you on throughout this entire time. And yeah, and like Prankster is definitely that hidden ability for Riolu, which is not something that you usually see, and we are going to have a Duraludon and Gengar instead. It's going to be lead, and Jacob going back to what he had before with Hatterene and Riolu, so we might actually see that sort of same thing. No fake out pressure this time, thanks to no Scrafty on the field still. But Riolu and Hatterene worked for Jacob in game 1, and it might work for him in game 2, and now it's just a matter of trying to figure that out. Gengar is a scary fast Pokemon to see, and it has been doing insane amounts of damage, but Riolu won't be taking any damage from any sort of poison type moves, which there has to be, because Alex did use Max Ooze, which is the poison type max move. I'm excited to see what's going to happen here. If Jacob can get Trick Room set up, he will be in a fantastic spot. And I mean, Gengar and Duraludon aren't going to be able to really like do anything if Trick Room does get set up. Duraludon could go for the Dynamax now, but I think Gengar is actually the better Pokemon here to go for the Dynamax as opposed to Duraludon. But I mean, this is Alex's team, and he'll know better than I do, so we will see Alex going for that Dynamax on this turn, and it is going to be that Duraludon instead, which Duraludon actually does have some access to some really good max type moves, and it is, I mean, we'll see how this goes. I think we might also see Hatterene go for the Dynamax again as well, which we did see in game 1, and it managed to hold on for that 1 HP from Vicious Ren. So we've got 2 Dynamax Pokemon, and we are gonna see what this Riolu can do against against this Gengar and Duraludon, and if Alex can stop Trigger from getting set up, because there is no quick guard happening here. Sludge Wave, though, is going to be revealed. Doesn't affect Duraludon, but will hit Riolu and Hatterene and knocks out the Riolu because it does not have that Steel type yet, because it's not Lucario, and man, that you lose that. So Max Steel Spike gonna hit Hatterene, but that is a Babiri Berry, and we are gonna see if it does enough damage to pick up the knockout after that Sludge Wave as well. And ooh, does not quite manage to pick up that knockout. So Hatterene is gonna be around, and even has the critical hit and still doesn't manage to pick up that knockout. Like, that is actually pretty impressive for this Hat Lady, as Gengar and Duraludon get their defenses raised, but Max Mindstorm going into that Gengar is going to easily pick up that knockout, because Gengar does not like those psychic type moves at all. No Trick Room setup, but you might have the chance to bring in I don't know, something like, let's say, if you bring in your Vileplume, you can go for the Protect. You lose the Hatterene at least, but you could also bring in the Torkoal and then just go for the After You strategies, but that's very dependent now on what Alex has in the back. I mean, this is a pretty fast-paced match in comparison to some of the matches we've seen today, because these Pokemon are either you pick up knockouts or you don't. And we are going to see Dracovish hit the field here, and we do know that last time Dracovish did not manage to pick up a knockout on Hatterene. However, it might not be the case this time, because Max Mindstorm did go after Max Steel Spike. Drought is going to come into this play here. And Dracovish is actually in a pretty good spot to pick up some knockouts on both Hatterene and Torkoal. Duraludon as well, because of that Dynamaxing, and now it's just a matter of Jacob trying to figure out how he's going to stop that from happening. Torkoal going for the Protect on this turn, so doesn't want to get hit by any water type moves, most likely from that Vicious Wren, as Max Lightning is going to be the move of choice here from Hatterene. Into that Hatterene is going to pick up the knockout, but I'm not going to lie, if Jacob has that Vileplume in the back, this might actually be still okay for Jacob, because even though he loses Hatterene, he gets to bring in his last Pokemon now without worry about getting hit, as Vicious Wren is going to hit into the Protect. And now you've got the chance for, if that is a Vileplume and Trick Room is not set up, Vileplume is going to be, and that Vileplume is going to have access to Chlorophyll immediately here, as Drought is set up already for it. Chlorophyll is going to double its speed, and we did see that it was using After You with that Torkoal. So Torkoal, most Torkoal are running some sort of grass type move, which would normally be Solar Beam. So now it's a matter of, do you press Eruption or do you press Solar Beam and try to take care of that Dracovish, because Dracovish don't really carry Protect, I'm guessing, due to the fact that they are mostly it's Scarf. So if that is a Solar Beam, that Dracovish is gone. No, it goes for Eruption instead, though, and is not going to pick up either knockout on Duraludon or that Dracovish, as Max Warmwind is going to connect with that Torkoal. Pick up the knockout. I mean, there are no Pokemon getting knocked out from these attacks here, but not going to matter much, because now Dracovish is going to be able to at least try to go for the sweep. It did take some damage here, but Vicious Wren, even as a water type move, is going to pick up the knockout here on Torkoal, leaving this Vileplume to face Duraludon, Dracovish, and whatever it is that Alex had in the back. Oh my gosh, that was a round. Like, that was very well done, I think, from both of them, but Alex was able to at least understand, hey, I need to get rid of the Pokemon that were giving me pain in the butt in game 1, and he did that very well. I mean, Gengar and Whimsicott in game 2 were just absolutely like demolishing. Giga Drain, though, from Vileplume is going to be not enough to knock out Dracovish yet at all, as Draco Meter at full special attack is going to knock into this Vileplume and is going to hurt it pretty considerably. Not enough to quite pick up the knockout here, but Vicious Wren might be able to. Is going second, and oh no, there we go. That is going to knock out that Vileplume, and we are going to have it get knocked out and give the round to Alex. And that definitely woke me up. I mean, that was a fun game 1 to watch. I mean, game 2, that Gengar and Whimsicott lead absolutely destroyed whatever was happening on the side for Jacob. And game 3 was kind of a little bit neck and neck, but I think Alex just had a little bit more pace ahead every single time. We are not going to be taking that long of a break between now and Top Cut, so please don't go anywhere, guys. Thank you so much for staying with us, and we will see you for Top Cut as soon as we get all the rest of the matches in, so don't go anywhere.